Well, on the Ukrainian front, visuals just reaching us are showing how most children and thousands of families in Ukraine ushered in the new year. Despite a deadly missile barrage nearby in the Ukrainian capital, the parents and children at the festival welcomed the respite from the conflict raging not too far from the venue. Pervasive uncertainty, psychological damage, developmental delays and regression are only a few of the well-documented effects the war has had on children. According to Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, half of the 80 million forcibly displaced people in the world are children. The show, which held Saturday, was the first this season that wasn't interrupted midway by air raid sirens, forcing cast and audience members into the theatre's shelter.
At night they hear some bombing sounds and shooting. They are afraid of this, and I am, as mother, want to take my kids to such play to feel the little bit of freedom of their soul.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russia is planning a protracted campaign of drone attacks in a bid to demoralize Ukraine. He said he had received intelligence reports suggesting that Moscow would launch the attacks using Iranian-made Shahid drones. It comes after Ukraine carried out a strike that it said killed hundreds of Russian soldiers in the Donbass region. In an extremely rare admission of battlefield losses, Russia said the attack killed 63 of its troops. Speaking from Kyiv in his nightly address, Mr. Zelensky said Russia planned to exhaust Ukraine with a prolonged wave of drone attacks.
We have information that Russia is planning a protracted attack using Shahid drones. It's probably banking on exhausting our people, our anti-aircraft defenses, our energy. But we act and do everything so that the terrorists fail in their aim, as all their others have failed. The Russian regime needs mobilizing emotion, something that they want to demonstrate to their country, to continue lying that everything is going according to plan. And our task is to give Ukraine successes, achievements, though small, yet victories. Each shot down drone, each shot down missile, each day with electricity for our people, and minimal shadows of power outages are exactly such victories.
На фронті вперед. Кожна збережена позиція – це такі успіхи, які мають зараз стратегічне значення. Який це забезпечує?
On the other hand, Russia said last night that 63 Russian soldiers had been killed in a Ukrainian Eve attack on their quarters, triggering furious criticism of the military leadership from lawmakers and Kremlin-loyal conflict bloggers. The building targeted was a vocational college in Makivka, a city in the Russian-controlled part of Ukraine's Donetsk province, reduced to rubble. Russia's defense ministry acknowledged the attack only in the final paragraph of a 528-word daily roundup, and this is more than 36 hours later. Even then, it did not address some of the allegations made by Kremlin-loyal bloggers who said casualties were far higher and that the military had not only failed to hide its soldiers from the enemy, but also stored ammunition. And scoring the front lines of the war in Ukraine, a group of volunteers have made it their mission to search for the bodies of fallen soldiers and return them to their families. Made up of around 100 volunteers, the Black Tulip mission undertakes the dangerous task of locating, exhuming bodies of Russian, Ukrainian soldiers, often to the sound of explosions nearby. Alexei Yukov, now part of the Black Tulips, was the founder of one of the first body search missions in Ukraine after he began locating the remains of World War II soldiers buried in unmarked sites in Ukrainian forested battlefields. Now that war is once again in their country, he says, and the rest of the team, that they are determined to bring peace of mind to the families awaiting the return of a soldier who will never make it home. On the oil and gas front, Russian gas production and exports plummeted in the year 2022. Russia's largest gas producer, Gazprom, said it produced 412.6 billion cubic meters of gas last year, a drop of 20% compared with 2021, while the company exported 100.9 billion cubic meters of gas in 2022, a decrease of 45.5% from 2021 export levels. Well, after the Russia-Ukraine conflict broke out, many Western countries, including the UK, sharply reduced imports of Russian natural gas. The UK has implemented a ban on imports of Russian liquefied natural gas that came into effect the 1st of January this year. The Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office said this. The office said the measure is aimed at helping the country reduce its reliance on Russian oil and gas, which accounted for about 4% of the nation's total consumption. The 21st century has brought significant new developments in warfare. Technological development, both intuitively and intentionally, led to upgrades in military operations and tactics. The Russian invasion of Ukraine is an evident demonstration of how new technologies have evolved in traditional warfare. Joining us to talk more about this is Mr. Kosiso Udodi, policy analyst. He joins me now from Abuja. It's good to see you this new year.
Hi, Millicent. It's good to see you too.
Thanks. Now, what's your assessment of the technologies, the tools that are utilized in the current war in Ukraine, Russia and Ukraine?
I think that every time that war is fought in the world, there's usually technological advancement. But what we have seen this year has been very unprecedented. Ukrainian soldiers have been ingenious. They have been doing so much for themselves. They have been training themselves, learning about warfare technology. They've been adapting to the lack of resources that they've had. And I think it's been pretty great to see.
You are quite right. Slowly but steadily, there's also been Western supports. Ukrainian forces, they've been enabled to be armed with the most sophisticated defense weapons. And some of them also include the drones, the Iranian-made drones, and in some cases homemade, we understand.
Yes. So one of the great things that the Ukrainian soldiers have been able to do is been able to take commercial drones and outfit them with ordnance the face of the battlefield. So it has helped them track Russian soldiers in real time. It has helped them track troop movement in real time. And I do not think that at the beginning of this year anybody thought that was going to be that commercial drones were going to be used on the battlefield. And it's been great. Iranian, the homemade drones have had it's ingenious. The soldiers, the remote controlling, attaching ordnances, and getting the job done. And I think that the world is impressed with what they are doing.
But I'm sure the world is not impressed that the war still continues between those two countries as it continues to affect the rest of the world. But we're also seeing from the way the war is being fought, a lot of military technology training. There's also going on behind, isn't it?
Yes, so a lot has been happening with Ukrainian soldiers going for training in Germany, in the US, and a lot of technology training has been going on in the fields of artificial intelligence, the manufacturing of aerial drones. A lot of technology training has been going on, and it has contributed very immensely to the way that this war has been fought from the beginning of this year.
Another outlook to this is that some countries would look at this war and also see ways that they can test whatever machines or technologies that they're working on, perhaps some of the downsides to what we're witnessing with this war in Ukraine. But in terms of other countries, other territories, safeguarding in terms of security now, safeguarding, preventing a war, safeguarding territories. What do you think can be learned from technology policies, defense technology?
So at the beginning of this war, one of the first things that the Ukrainian government one of the first things they were able to do was to remove import duty and remove taxation from military technology, military imports, and most importantly, the importation of drones. So all drones that are coming into Ukraine today are coming in import duty and taxation free, and that has helped them make purchases. That has helped. So many drones have been able to help immensely. The removal of import duty and the removal of taxation on military equipment, military intelligence equipment, radios, night vision goggles, all of these things enhanced by policy have been able to help drop military. And I think that it is something that that governments around the world can learn, and they can understand and see how policy, the removal of taxation, the removal of import duty on the importation of military equipment can help cheapen, the cost of war.
All right, we'd like to thank you. Kosise Udodi is a policy analyst. Thanks for your thoughts on this matter.
You're welcome, Millicent. You're welcome.